Hey, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Max.
We're from Gamersfire.com, and today we're doing a first impression of the newly released Unreal Tournament game that is in a pre-alpha stage right now, that they've released to everybody to try it out. And we'd like to start off by saying we understand that this is pre-alpha and what pre-alpha means, so any criticisms we make or things we point out are not really bringing down the game at all. We're just trying to point out what we would like to see fixed by the final product and just report to everyone what the current state of the game actually is.
So yeah, the first thing I noticed was I signed in my account and tried to join into a game, and it kind of brought me into this pre-lobby before the lobbies, which told me that nobody was playing.
But as soon as we entered into one of the lobbies, we saw that there was actually plenty of people playing, so the first initial pre-lobby for the lobbies had just plain lied to us, I guess. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to get into the more technical side of it, really look at all the different things we noticed about how the graphics are developing, because this is a pre-alpha build. That's what people care about. This is what you notice when you play it, is how that stuff is coming along. Now, we'll also point out, like any other Unreal game, this game is very fast. Very fast-paced as you're playing it. You're moving all over the place. Most of the time, you're not even going to notice half the stuff we're going to talk about anyway, even if the game was done. But I was watching Max play, so I had the time to sit back and think and notice all these things as we went along.
Yeah, I jump around a lot.
He does. Yeah. Anyway, so the first thing I noticed was the edges. All the edges, and this is what I'm talking about, is the anti-aliasing. The edges are so smooth. That jaggedness that you see still all the time in current games was just gone entirely. I was really impressed with that in a pre-alpha build, that was already a step way ahead. And it's things like that that are pre-built into the Unreal Engine that are already looking great, because they're part of the Unreal Engine, not necessarily part of the game that has yet to be plugged in. It's just kind of a plug-and-play piece of Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of good stuff to look forward to that's coming from the Unreal Engine.
Definitely. So the next piece that I'm going to talk about with the graphics is the lighting, because that's another part that's like really a piece of the Unreal Engine 4, and seeing what that's going to be able to do right now, even at this early stage of the game. So it's f***ing beautiful. That's really all I can say. The fall off from the lighting and the way it hits the walls and everything is just so natural and so realistic looking. There's none of that, like normally when you see light hitting a wall in a video game and it falls off and fades out to the sides, you can kind of see like graduated steps of it fading off. You can see the individual concentric rings as the light fades off. This is just one smooth fade off, just like real light actually does in real life. And also the reactive lighting that is already put in for things like mainly weapon effects. Muzzle flashes, all the different laser beams that go by and everything, the rockets with their fire trails, the explosions when the rockets hit something, everything lights up all the environment around it. If you fire a rocket down a hall, you can trace the light down the walls, which is not something that's new to video games entirely, but that's something that I really only started noticing with like Battlefield 3 or so, kind of like that area of gaming, and to see it's like, oh, that's just a, you know, take it for granted piece of a pre-alpha build now. I'm happy about that. And I don't really know how they set up the maps with the lighting and everything. I understand the lighting could be pre-baked into the textures of the map, but you know, no matter how they're doing it, it just looks really good. It looks noticeably good compared to other games, and this is a pre-alpha build. The next order of business is kind of physics related and animation related all in one, really, because it's an Unreal game. The only objects that really have physics on them is the other players, which is, it's fine. I'm not putting it down for that. It's just the style of game it is. So the Ragdoll Physics are already implemented into the pre-alpha build, which is, it's not too surprising. I mean, Ragdoll Physics have been around for quite a while now. That's just kind of a standard thing. And they work pretty well. I noticed, you know, one specific time where you got blown up by a rocket launcher, you went flying, the top half of you hit a wall that, like, your bottom half folded up on and smacked into before you fell down and hit the floor. And, you know, so the momentum all worked right on everything, and all the different body parts flowed separately but still connected. It all looked good, but there's still a couple little problems that's just kind of overall complaints I have about Ragdoll Physics in general that I'd like to see finally fixed in this generation with the new engine and everything. The first is the clipping. The body parts, they all hit the walls and everything's fine, but they clip through each other. An arm will go straight through a leg while they fold up on each other and things like that. I would like to see the body actually interact with itself. That would just really bring a level of, you know, quote, realism, a more cinematic level to it, really. And then going along with that, the body folding on itself and everything is this constant feeling of when ragdoll happens that it's really ragdoll. Like all the bones in the body immediately just disintegrate when a person dies and they just fold on top of themselves in these ridiculous positions. There's one time you got blown by a rocket and you went flying into a wall and your body almost like turned into a soccer ball on its way there. And it was, you know, sure, it's kind of comical and it's fun for a pre-alpha, but I'd like to actually see a body kind of move into a shape that a body might actually move into. Just put some limits on how far the bones can bend and move with each death and with each reaction to the physics. The next is then going from there into actual made animations instead of processed by the physics engine like Ragdoll is. The animations, I don't know, right now they seem a little dated. And again, I know this is pre-alpha, they'll get better, but they just seem stiff, especially the blending of the animations. Someone's going one direction, and then they're immediately going another direction, 90 degree turn. And I know, like, this is a multiplayer game. People are moving around quick, it's hard to predict which way they're going, and it's a very fast multiplayer game, like I've said a couple times. It's not something where you can kind of slow it down and really put the processing into each blending of the animation and having the animations react to the world around them, like, say, Assassin's Creed or something, where you're climbing and he actually reaches to all the different ledges and then blends the animations to pulling yourself up onto the roof and running and everything like that. This is just like you're going one direction, then you're going another direction, then you're going back the same direction, then you're jumping off a wall. But this is another generation again. So I'd really like to see that kind of finally start to come together. Just a little smoothness, even in like just the pre-baked animations, even if the transitioning from those animations is still tricky to do. Make those a little more, put life into the characters, put a little more breath and kind of reaction to the running into the characters and things like that. So then the last big section of the graphics and the technical side of it is, first, it's just a couple complaints I have. First, the blood, right now, looks like they're just reusing sprites from one of the old games. It just kind of like flies out into the air around you and disappears, doesn't go anywhere, it looks really out of place, it's a little too bright, it looks flat. I know it'll be fixed, I'm sure, but still, right now, it really stands out.
I do have to say, though, it does bring me back to the good old days.
Okay, well, I mean, that's understandable for, you know, having a good nostalgic experience playing the pre-alpha, but...
Yeah, no, I do hope it's fixed, though.
Yeah, we're in Unreal Engine 4. It shouldn't bring you back to the the good old days too much. That should happen from the gameplay, not the graphics. Then the next thing is the textures. Right now, it kind of looks like it looks to me like they bought one pack of textures for modeling prisons, and they just use that for everything. Everything's just kind of gray walls with maybe an orange paint streak here and there on the sides to accent it, which really gives this kind of, it's kind of a cool prison-y feel, but every map looked the same to me. So, I mean, that's an artistic choice that I hope they don't stick with too much to the end of this. Let's see, you know, the old games, they had like, I never played them too much, but a couple of things I did do, they had, you know, some technological looking maps and everything, and then they had some kind of like some Egyptian looking stone and sand and stuff too.
One thing I did notice though is like if you look carefully, you can see some of the old maps. Like you can tell like, oh, this map used to be that map, and I'm sure you're gonna see them develop more into them as they start getting more texture.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, is that just in the map layout or actually in the textures they're using?
The layout, not the textures.
Okay, I got you. So yeah, okay, so then that's some clue right there that this is something that's going to be fixed. Yeah. Or improved, not fixed, because it's not a problem, it's just the current state it's in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So then the other thing I want to see with the textures is, I don't know how, you know, there's a whole technical side to working with DirectX 11, stuff like that, and I consider myself fairly knowledgeable on how video games work, but there could be something I don't know about, but I do know DirectX 11 has the tessellation. It's just something I've seen in like Crysis 2 and things like that. And it adds that bump mapping to the textures. And actually, like, sure, if you go up and look at the textures, they look relatively high resolution for right now. Again, camera was moving very fast. I didn't get a good look at the textures. But, you know, they've got detail in them. They got scratches, the concrete has those little holes in it, the air holes and stuff like that. Anything metal has scratches, dents, stuff like that. But they're only there in picture. The lighting just goes one smooth wash over all that and just washes it all out whenever there's like a hot spot in the lighting, and the lighting doesn't interact with it because it's not really there. It's just a picture of it stuck onto a flat surface, which is how games have always worked. But we're starting to get into this tessellation bump mapping type of deal where there's actually, from the textures, you get physical texture in the walls that the lighting will actually react with. And if they can implement that, which I really think Unreal Engine 4 should be, Unreal Engine has always been pushing the boundaries, and this is something that isn't even entirely new. So by the final release, I want to see those textures really disrupting the lighting and casting shadows and actually making these walls feel real, or unreal even.
Oh, they will be.
Oh my. So now we're going to move more into talking about the gameplay part of it, and Max is going to take over for that.
So yeah, the first thing I really noticed about the game is it seems to play just like the originals. I mean, I just learned the controls, hopped right back into it, and it was like I was playing Unreal Tournament 2004 all over again. I mean, I even got a kill streak. The other thing I noticed was it seems like all my favorite guns from the old games are still in the game. I mean, the flak cannon's still there and it still works the same way it used to. Rocket launchers still have the 3 rocket load. Sniper rifle is still really hard for me to use. And, well, the only gun that's not there that I would really like to see make a return is the light gun. I mean, I still didn't know how to use it back in the old days, and I always sucked with it. But, you know, it'd be cool to see it back again. On the other side, it seems like you don't really have much of an option for game type. All you really have is team deathmatch, capture the flag. And one thing I'm really looking forward to, and I'm hoping that they're bringing back, which they said they are, is bombing run. I really can't wait to play me some bombing run. Now, a few of the bugs I noticed were, like, for instance, you can set the priority of your favorite gun. Well, whenever I go to do that, it just won't keep it. And whenever I pick up a rocket launcher, boom, I'm using a rocket launcher. It will work if you turn that setting off, but you can't change your priority. Another issue I had was with the rocket launcher. Now, your secondary fire is it would load up 3 rockets and shoot all 3. But in a frantic situation, sometimes you're getting ready to load up 3 when you only have 1 loaded and an enemy appears, so you just let it go, and then all of a sudden your rocket launcher just appears to get jammed. And it's very tricky to get it unjammed. And for me, it always seems to unjam exactly at the moment when I'm staring right at a wall and I just blow myself up. Some of the best things, though, I think this game has going for it is that they still use the dodge move. The dodge move is always one of the best ways to get around the map in Unreal Tournament. It's the fastest way to get around the map, fastest way to capture the flag. You could always dodge your enemies' moves, and they still have it. But now they also have it so you can dodge off of walls. You can keep dodging off of walls as many times as you want, as long as there's a wall to dodge off of.
So it's kind of like the Prince of Persia or Ninja Gaiden trick where you could run up the wall and hop from wall to wall to get up a narrow space or something? Can you actually like get altitude while you do it?
No, you have to find a way to get altitude. But if you have the altitude, you can do it.
You can maintain the altitude?
Yeah, like there's an object you can get called the jump boots where you can jump really high. So if you use those to jump really high, then you can just slowly drop back down, jumping from wall to wall,
Gotcha.
so you don't take falling damage.
Wow.
Which
Is there
is
a lot of falling damage?
There is not a lot of falling damage, but it is there.
Okay.
And well, since you brought up the falling damage, there was one thing I wanted to talk about. Was, well, the falling damage. Now, I can't remember if in the old games there was falling damage. I know you would die if you fell off a cliff to, you know, the abyss.
Right. Yeah.
But I've never been a fan of falling damage in this game.
It just seems like a game that's so over the top, doesn't really need falling damage.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, we're going into the day and age where it's just in every game, and maybe that's where we're headed. But, you know, I'm glad that it only has minimum falling damage. I have yet to kill myself from falling off of something.
Do you think that's something that other people are going to want changed by the end so that there's more falling damage?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, I guess that's one thing we're just going to see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, like I said, I can't remember if there was in the old games. But, you know, besides falling into abysses,
yeah, you're not killing yourself with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with how little falling damage there is now. Now, as far as the AI goes, it, to me, seems like it's running flawlessly. Most of the time when I play against bots, I have a harder time than playing against people. they're really well made. Except for one thing. There's a few levels where there's elevators, or I guess lift platforms. And if you fall into an area, sometimes the only way to get out is through a lift pad. And sometimes the AI really has a problem with getting stuck under it, which makes it impossible for you to use it. And so then you're stuck down there and pretty much forced to kill yourself to get out.
Well, it does the standard video game thing, right, where when the elevator comes down, if it hits someone's head, it just flies back up again, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that would suck.
Yeah.
It's just bouncing off the AI's head instead of letting you on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that creates a problematic situation.
Yeah, there's been a few times where I had to shoot myself with a rocket.
Well, it's okay, you do that anyway.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, so that pretty much covers everything we want to talk about so far with the development of this game. And I mean, I have to say, we're impressed.
I was very impressed, even from someone who hasn't even played the old games, so no nostalgia factor or anything.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this as a pre-alpha, and I mean, it honestly looks better than most beta games I've played.
It looks better and runs better than some full release titles that have been, released and we paid $60 for.
Yeah.
If you go back to the first impression video, the only other one we've done right now, Far Cry 4, you'll see when I started out Far Cry 4, I got it on release day. I didn't get no early going on there. Went to start it, and it just wouldn't start. I had to go through a whole hassle of Googling how to make it start. It took me like 2 hours to get that game to even start.
Yeah, and this game warns you it's gonna crash. It's in pre-alpha, and I've had a couple hours of playing this and only managed to make it crash once.
Yeah, so it's stable. It's surprisingly stable for any level of game, but then to realize it's pre-alpha
Yeah,
is mind-blowing, really.
And I had no trouble getting it to start back up. It started right back up, joined another match, away I went. And it ran fine for about 3 hours till I decided, that's enough.
So yeah, and one last point to end on is this is free, too. All you have to do is get involved. You go to the Unreal Tournament forums, make a profile, and from there you can download it. And then if you want to be involved in helping them make this game, they're listening. They're listening to the community. That's why they released this pre-alpha build to the forums. You put your thoughts on there, your art designs, whatever you want. They'll at least look at it. There's a good chance that you might even actually help develop this game. So it's a really different way of developing a game I haven't really seen before. It's very community oriented.
Yeah, and it's when the game finally does come out, it's going to be fully moddable, and that's how they plan on making money on this game. Because the money made through the marketplace of mods is going to be shared between the modder and Epic Games.
Really?
So that's why the game's going to be free, and they're really trying to make this a community effort.
So they're finally some companies one-upping Valve on their community-based game development.
Yeah, at least trying to.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a good start, so I'm really excited to see how it goes.
Yeah. Remember to like and subscribe.
Go to Gamersfire.com. There you can go on the forums in the community tab and make a profile, and then you can actually contribute to these discussions. Start a thread about what game is coming out you're excited about and what you think about it. And, we'll come online, everyone will talk about it, we'll share our opinions of it. Get involved.
Yeah, and let us know if there's any games coming up that you would like to see us do a first impression on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bye.
See ya.